Let's see what my horoscope says today in the daily newspaper. See, I was born right on the cusp of Scorpio. October 23rd, it says, "You got more allies than you realize. Utilize your connections to help you get something up and running on which you've worked long and hard. An emotional relationship will influence a decision you make." Do I have more allies than I realize? I wonder what all that means. You know, I like to think I'm smarter than the average penny. And I learned in 4th grade that anything that has mass, has some form of tangible reality, is matter. And that is what is real. What is real. And, you know, I'm trying to think, they call it a pseudoscience today, how planets so far away in the sky have an effect somehow on our daily being. When I was a little kid at night, I liked to look up into space and see the stars. And in 2nd grade, I remember this very vividly, we were having a lesson on the planets. And I walked in to the room, and I knew I'd seen those planets somewhere before. We had Pluto was still a planet back then, and we had a school play about it. I was Uranus in the 2nd grade school play. A lot of civilizations looked up to the sky at night all around the world, and they came up with a similar system of tracking the planets around constellations to keep track of time and to also tell of what's to happen in time. Actually, if you are a Christian of the West, you don't fool with horoscopes. But if you were maybe an Eastern Jew, you would read the Book of Formation, this is chapter 2. The 22 sounds and letters of the Hebrew language are the foundation of all things. 3 mothers, 7 doubles, and 12 simples. The 3 mothers are the Hebrew letters Aleph, Mem, Shin. They are air, water, fire. Water is silent, fire is sibilant, and air derived from the spirit is as the tongue of a balance standing between these contraries, which are in equilibrium, reconciling and mediating between them. He hath formed, weighted, and composed with these 22 letters every created thing and form of everything which shall hereafter be. These 22 sounds or letters are formed by the voice, impressed on the air, and audibly modified in 5 places: in the throat, in the mouth, by the tongue, through the teeth, and by the lips. These 22 letters, which are the foundation of all things, he arranged as upon a sphere with 231 gates, and the spheres may be rotated forward or backwards, whether for good or for evil. From the good comes true pleasure, from evil naught but torment. And now this is chapter 5. The 12 simple letters are the foundation of the 12 properties: sight, hearing, smell, speech, taste, sexual love, work, movement, anger, mirth, imagination, and sleep. These 12 are also allotted to directions in space: northeast, southeast, the east above, the east below, the north above, the north below, the southwest, the northwest, the west above, the west below, the south above, and the south below. These diverge to infinity and are the arms of the universe. The 12 simple letters he designed and combined and formed with them the 12 celestial constellations of the zodiac. So I have my Bible out now, and remember, Hebrew is the language of at least the first 5 books, most of the Old Testament, and I'm going to read you the very first verse, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then that was that. But there's one word that isn't translated, and if it would be translated, I with no authority to do so, but if I would be the translator with what I think, it would say, in the beginning, with the alphabet, Aleph, Bet, Hebrew, Aleph, Tav, Hebrew alphabet, God created above and below. See, star worship in here actually gets a bad rap. It's called born of women. That's because the opposite of light, even though we're taught that everything that is real has matter, the slow, low vibration, energy of fear and destruction within is density. So those born of women, here, we're going to go to another story now. Remember Job? He didn't do anything bad, but yet God was at him anyway. And it says, this is his friend talking to him, dominion and fear are with God. He makes peace in his high heaven. Is there any number to his armies, upon whom does his light not arise? How then can man be right before God? How pure can he who is how can he who is born of women be pure? Remember, falling into that deep density realm where stuff is tangible, stuff is moving so slow that it takes on form. Behold, even the moon is not bright, and the stars are not pure in his eyes. How much less man, who's a maggot, and the son of man, who is a worm. Growing up, I thought there were levels. I could just tell when a transition period would occur. It would feel like the end of a paradigm of thought and the start of a new one. So that's what made me look into, do the stars actually have a gravitational or some kind of effect on us? And the equinox precessed from where the constellations are in the sky, 23 degrees or something like that. So I started off following the sun through the sidereal zodiac. But it just didn't feel right after a while. And then I looked and I went back to the sun in the tropical zodiac, which is actually 23 degrees off, because it's more about the angles than the fixed stars themselves. But also, I figured out these shifts were houses in my life. And if you don't think this stuff works, the 6th house is the house of work and stuff like that. And I have it in Scorpio. And Mars, the day that it crossed that line from 5 to 6, never had a job interview in my life. I had a job interview that day. They called me, and you might argue that, well, it passed through there a couple times before. But it just became relevant at this time. So I could tell when something new was happening in the sky in sync with me. This was in July of 2009, and I was helping out with a bunch of kids. And I looked at them, and it looked like, the templates of people were being reused. And I thought nobody really notices that. But the number I used was 12. I had no idea about any of this stuff. I think there's 12 patterns of faces that get used over and over and over again.